Welcome to Esports Go, your epicenter for esports news, scores, and highlights. I'm Matt Brown.
And I'm Justin Gilliam. And the Overwatch League had its second day of competition, and just like the first one, it did not disappoint.
No, it did not. You're right, Justin. Our match of the day was the Philadelphia Fusion against the Houston Outlaws. The Outlaws were 0-2 in the preseason, but they faced the top two teams in Seoul and Dallas, so you really couldn't make out how good they actually were. And this is the Fusion team that did not make it any easier because you don't know what they're coming in, because they did not play in the preseason due to visa complications. This was really anyone's game. Let's get right to the highlights. On map 3, the teams are tied at 1-1. The Fusion show that they have a powerful control play style. They easily dispatch the point thanks to the fair air support provided by Shadowburn. They take the point 100-0. And then Shadowburn striking again on the second round. After he gains control of the sky, he devastates the rest of the Outlaws with justice from above. And the Fusion take the point 100-0 a second time. The Outlaws win map 4, which ties the series at 2-2. This brings the match to a fifth and final map, which just so happens to be a control map on Lijiang Tower. They once again, for a third time, 100% to 0, control the point on the first round thanks to great Zarya play. The fourth and final map is a lot closer, but towards the end of the round, a lurking Carpe helps secure kills on the Outlaws supports and secure the Fusion victory. The Fusion win 3-2. This is the first match of the Overwatch League regular season to go extra games. Now, Justin, my biggest takeaway from that day is that looks like I may be right about the Philadelphia Fusion. They were my top pick in the Atlantic Division. They dominated control maps. The Outlaws didn't even have an answer until map 5, round 2, and by then it was too late. Another note from this match, the Fusion swarmed. And 1 second a team's fine, the next, the entire Fusion team has jumped on your mercy and killed her.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Matt. The force from the Fusion was too much for the Houston Outlaws. Jake played a god-tier Junkrat and Soldier 76, but he lost the air battle as fair to Shadowbird. The Fusion surprised the Outlaws as they surprised the entire world. Most analysts wrote them off as a 4-0 loss in favor of the Outlaws. The next match highlights one of the greatest city rivalries anywhere in the world as the Boston Uprising and New York Excelsior begin a new chapter in each of their city sports history. The Uprising come into this game as a young squad hoping to get some needed experience, while the New York XL are expected to be a top contender in the Atlantic Division. Let's head to Ilios and jump right into the action. The Excelsior's Pine is a control map specialist and shows us exactly how McCree should be played. He starts by picking off the Uprising's Tracer, and it only gets crazier from there. On the next map, he takes out 2 Uprising players and chases after Striker, who was on Tracer. He goes lead, but notices a recall animation from the corner of his screen. He predicts where Striker will land, stuns him, and takes him out. Thanks to Pine, the XL easily take a 2-1 lead over the Uprising. On Numbani, Dream Casper on Genji gets some revenge on McCree and redirects a high noon right into his own face. It does not prove enough, and the Excelsior go to win the map after momentum shift thanks to some amazing Zenyatta play from Jonas. The Excelsior take the game 3-1. Now, Pine was pretty impressive, but the entire XL team looked pretty good as well. Their defense on maps with payload was impressive on Junkertown and Numbani. Even when the Uprising were working with momentum on maps like Junkertown, the XL find a way to regroup and push that payload. And you might be confident about your Fusion pick, but I picked the XL to finish first in the Atlantic, and I'm going to stick with that pick.
Well, we'll just have to find out when they play each other on January 25th. Moving back to the Uprising, they may have lost, but they showed a lot of potential, I think. They are a squad that has been built from the ground up with a game plan to have a team that is extremely coachable, and they can grow.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be surprised to see the Uprising wins pile up towards the end of the season. Now, the first match of that day was between the London Spitfire and Florida Mayhem. The Spitfire are one of the favorites to be first in the Atlantic, and the Mayhem were projected to be one of the lower teams after a poor showing in the preseason. So let's see what happened. We pick up the highlight on map 1, Dorado, where Tavik sets up an incredible backdoor play to disorient the Spitfire and help move the payload through the checkpoint. A few moments later, Mayhem only need to make it to the second checkpoint to win the map thanks to some expert tracer by Logix. They succeed and they take the early lead. Spitfire take map 2 to tie the series at 1 apiece. Map 3 is a most interesting one though. The Mayhem managed to get to the control point 99%, but are overrun by the Spitfire who take it over. Spitfire maintained control in part due to a 3-man hammer down by Gesture to mop up the squishy backline of the Mayhem. On the next control map, the storyline is the same. The Mayhem managed to get the point to 99%, but the Spitfire take it over and win the map. This puts Spitfire up 2-1 in the match. Mayhem are in a must-win scenario now in New Bonnie to bring the game to a map 5 if they have any hope of winning the series. But the Spitfire's Bird Ring shows his superior Soldier 76 kills and mows down the Mayhem 1 by 1. A few moments later, he helps nearly wipe out Team Mayhem with a Genji Dragon Blade. Spitfire wins it 3-1.
Here at Esports Go, we like to put a little cherry on top after our highlights by naming the heroes and zeros of the day. Matt, who is your hero?
I'm going to say Bird Ring of the London Spitfire. He was definitely my hero yesterday. He played wide range of offense heroes and went to town against the Florida Mayhem. I would not be surprised if he is picked a few more times on this list later on in the season.
The choice for me is obviously going to be Pine from my New York XL, the offensive sub. He came on as a sub, shredded on the control, game type as McCree, 18 kills, only 2 deaths in that round. 100% my hero of the day, only 2 deaths.
Now, the zero for today,
Yeah.
it was the 1%, and what we mean by that is the 1% that the Florida Mayhem could not get on their control map. Both rounds on Oasis, they reached 99% first, but the Spitfire came back on both occasions and won the map. The Mayhem will be kicking themselves for that loss in the practice.
Now coming up after the break, we take a look at everything else going on in the esports world and catch you up on the latest news. You're watching Esports Go. Welcome back to Esports Go. Now, Overwatch is not the only thing happening in esports today. Another Blizzard title may be facing turbulence in the future. Virtus.pro announced that they will be leaving Hearthstone in February. The general manager of the team, Rowan Varankin, stated that at this moment, we can't see any prospects in Hearthstone for us. If you're a fan and worried about the team and the players on the team, Dr. Hippie, Nalman, and Bunny Hopper, don't be just yet. Virtus.pro hints that they are very interested in Valve's upcoming Dota-themed card game Artifact. Virtus.pro is working together with the Hearthstone players to see if they're interested in making the jump to a new game.
FlyQuest has made a nougat-filled announcement yesterday. Snickers has entered into an esports partnership by becoming the official chocolate of FlyQuest Esports. You will start to see the Snickers brand in all kinds of FlyQuest content. Snickers will be the presenting sponsor on the MVP of the match, a weekly vote deciding the player of the week, and a behind-the-scenes series. The series will show the funnier side of esports in the FlyQuest house and studios.
The E-League CSGO Major started in Boston today. Pool play began this morning. Now, each pool will be reseeded each day based on their performance. A team needs 3 wins to move on, but if a team loses 3 times, they're eliminated from the competition. We will keep you posted here on Esports Go with the results of the Boston Major.
Coming up after the break, we're going to take a look at our predictions for the afternoon. And Justin, I told you to listen to me about the Fusion yesterday.
I
went
know.
3-0.
There's always today, though.
We'll be back on Esports Go. Hey there, welcome back to Esports Go. Let's take a look at the trio of matches coming your way in the Overwatch League this afternoon.
Now, in our first matchup of the day, we have the Dallas Fuel versus the LA Valiant in a matchup of 2 teams who had great showings in the first game. Even though the Fuel lost, I see this as a bounce-back game for them, and I'm interested to see how the Valiant, coming off a 4-0 sweep of the Shock, and if they go with a different game plan against a tougher opponent.
And when Dallas sees that Ilios map again, you can bet they'll have a different look to give LA after their poor performance when they face the Soul. For the Valiant, I think we all want to see a repeat performance of great offensive play from Soon, and if we do, we may end up on our hero list for the second straight time. Now next up, Boston and Florida, 2 teams that met tough opponents in their first go-around, but both with promising moments. This could be a close one. Boston may want to go with the game flow and ride the momentum when they can, and in an effort to outlast the Mayhem, who have proven impeccable-punch.
I agree with you, Matt, and I'll be the first one to say that the Mayhem really surprised me in their first game, and to be quite honest, I think they match up quite well with the Uprising in this affair. The thing for me and what will decide the match is if the Mayhem can sustain their fight later on. We saw later in some maps where they just couldn't keep up that fight, and that was their downfall. Look for the Uprising to take advantage of that if they're going to win that game. The final game of day number 3 is between 2 interesting teams, the Shock and the Dragons. Both teams coming off a 4-0 loss. The Shock showed some promise, however, pushing the Valiant at times, and the Dragons started to find their groove together at the end of their match. Which team will be the aggressor right off the bat? In my opinion, that's who wins this game.
Yeah, I think we all want to see a bounce-back performance from Shanghai and witness an improvement from day one. If they can pack the first punch, they could ride that momentum throughout the match. Now that'll do it for us here at The Go. Don't forget to check us out on our website, challengemedia.tv, for all your gaming news.
And check us out and follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well.
We'll see you tomorrow.